Okay, well, let's see. Is this going to work now? Alright, we should be streaming again. Should be streaming again. I don't know for sure. It says starting. It says good green stream health. So that looks like it's okay. I got to edit my window capture here.
Do I have to... There.
Alright, let me edit this 1 second, guys. It should be back now, except everything is out of order.
Interesting. It says live stream with Willie Howe was 2 weeks ago, if I look at your videos.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, the live streaming stuff is so weird.
Kind of jacked right now.
It's just the whole live streaming thing on YouTube is so jacked.
Now I see live now.
That yeah, no, it's on now. It's working.
People.
I'm telling you, man, this anytime I do a YouTube live stream, window capture, how come Willie's window is not? I swear to God, this is an OBS problem. This is different.
Yeah, and everybody can definitely hear you, I think.
Oh, I know they can hear me. And I got my headset now. Hopefully, guys, I switched to my headset against my own wishes. And so hopefully you guys can hear it a little bit better now. I'm trying to pop Willie's window back up. There he is. Okay, good. Willie, something seems to have changed on your side. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Me either. It'll probably take a minute for mine to pop up here.
All right. Hey, look at that.
Hey, you're getting some questions.
No audio.
Also, you've got the super chat thing turned on, right? So if somebody wants to throw us a couple bones.
Well, yeah. Throw us a couple bones so that we can hire a live streaming expert, a live streaming consultant to help us out with our live streams. Yeah, Jose Howe is back. That's right. Okay, so it looks like at this point we are all good, and hopefully YouTube. So let me tell you something, guys. We were literally just live streaming, and on the YouTube side, I didn't touch anything in OBS. I didn't hit stop streaming. It literally just stopped
went on the
streaming.
fritz.
Yeah, and then anytime you do a live stream and then it finishes, it first pops up with the last thumbnail live stream that you had. And it does say, like, 2 weeks ago. It gives it the date and the thumbnail from the previous, whatever previous live stream you did. So YouTube has some major live streaming issues. I really wish they would fix that sort of stuff because it's just insane.
Yeah, somebody told me to make sure that I take the mustache off before going through airport security. So airport security and I have a really unique relationship. I said that I've never been on an airplane, but for my day job, we have a program that has a gift shop in the local airport, and so I still have to go through security to get to the gift shop. So I get to deal with those wonderful people and their no sense of humor, and I try to liven it up. So hopefully, when I go to fly in October. I don't get some of the same people that I've had conversations with. Let's just put it that way.
Are you nervous at all about flying?
No, and the reason I'm actually kind of excited. Well, first of all, I'm flying Allegiant, and they don't buy new airplanes; they buy used airplanes. So I've had people tell me that it may be a little rough and a little rocky, but I'm going to take some medicine to take care of that. You know, maybe some Xanax and vodka.
That's a lethal combo, like to start your Vegas trip off with. Honestly, it's not a big deal. Flying is super safe. It's super fun. The only thing you gotta, I don't know, not worry about, but like be careful of, especially here in the U.S. So airline prices got a little bit out of whack a while back, and so all of the airline prices went up because the cost of gas went up, and then when the cost of gas came down, they didn't bring the airline prices down. What do you know?
Right.
And so, to meet the gap of the lower end market, a lot of new airlines came out, such as Spirit, and I think they're just maybe subsidiaries of other airlines or something. I haven't looked into it. But Spirit is very low prices. Like if you look on Expedia or any of those, travel websites, you'll see Spirit Airlines is very cheap. But then they charge you for literally everything, meaning that a carry-on bag you get charged for. I went online and selected my seat on the plane, and it charged me $13 to do that.
To select your seat?
So yeah, so like that's how they give you the lowest price, but it's literally that's the price for you to walk onto the airplane and walk off of the airplane. Anything else, including literally a carry-on bag, which is typically you get 2 with most other airlines,
right,
is a charge. So you just got to be really careful about like picking the cheapest airline because it's usually a scam of some sort.
Right. So I see that somebody said that we should do a live stream. Chris and I we've talked about what our possibilities may be for Vegas. So Chris is going to arrive a day. You're in a day before me, right? And then leave.
Yeah, I'm coming into Wispapalooza on Wednesday, and I'm leaving on Friday.
And I will be there Thursday, leaving Saturday.
Yeah. So if anything, we'll probably be able to do something Thursday night, I imagine, or Thursday afternoon, evening, in that time frame.
Right.
Cool. Cool.
So let's see if anybody's got any other questions here. Hugo wants to know if we're ready for the solar eclipse. You want to open that one, Chris?
Yeah, we're ready. So my house is in the path of totality. And my little tiny town out here on the Oregon coast is like going into like disaster preparedness mode because of this eclipse. They've put out all sorts of warnings. They tell everyone to stock up on water and gas and food. Literally, I went to Walmart 2 nights ago to get some food, and the shelves were the barest I've ever seen at a Walmart. I mean, it was literally like people had come in and ransacked the place almost.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And I mean, there was plenty of stuff there, but it was like, it's Walmart. You always expect everything to be full at Walmart,
Right.
And no, there's tons of people. They've got signs up all over the place that say no camping on the lawn,
Whoa.
Here and there. Because, well, they're expecting an influx of about 1 million people into my county,
yeah.
which is crazy, which
Yeah.
is like tenfold, basically. And then I was driving through a town a little bit north of me over the weekend, and I drove past a tiny little small parking lot, and there was a sign up that said, Eclipse parking, $100 per day for parking. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, people are cashing in on the amount of people that are going to be out here. Everyone's telling me I should like set up a campground in my front yard and let people camp on the lawn for $50 a pop or something, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want people at my house.
Yeah. Well, I know that I've been seeing some stuff on Facebook. People locally, there was a big deal about some of the eclipse viewing glasses on Amazon were fakes. And so everybody had bought their glasses, and now at the last minute, people are like scrambling, and B&H Photo, I guess, had some, and so somebody made a big order, and they're hoping that they get here by Monday. I guess the welding supply stores and the Prax Air, where you would go to get welding supplies, I guess like all their welding goggles have been sold out. I mean,
really?
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. So we're in 90% here where I'm at around Peoria, and then if you go about 2 hours south, 2.5 hours south to Carbondale, they're in the path of totality. So people are migrating that direction.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I actually looked. I had on Amazon a filter for my camera, for my DSLR, so that I could like maybe take some pictures of the eclipse. And this is like 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago. I put them in my on a wish list, just like, okay, next time I'm ordering from Amazon, I'm going to buy these things.
Right.
And it was like $8 for some film that you basically can put on the camera lens. And so about 3 weeks ago, I'm like, oh, let me get that solar stuff too. No, can't. Gone. Everything on Amazon is completely sold out. Any sort of solar camera attachment, solar anything is gone. And I'm like clicking on it, and it's like, oh, estimated delivery August 26th. And I'm like, nope, that's not going to work for me because that's a little too late.
Oh, man.
But I'm looking forward to it. I've never personally seen a solar eclipse in person, so
yeah, I haven't.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I know a lot of the schools around here with the older kids are doing some things. Our kids' school, they're not allowing. I think 6th grade and below are not going to be allowed outside, and they're doing some stuff. I wish they would have turned it into an educational moment somehow, but The older kids are going to get to experience it. So, and then I'm back to work next week, and so I guess we're having a big potluck or something during the eclipse. So that should be interesting.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. So, Eric had asked, said something about the 3-day Wispapalooza pass of $599. That's actually if you're going to go to any of the classes. If you just want to get out onto the exhibit floor, you can buy your pass there, and it's significantly cheaper. What is it, 140 or something?
For the exhibit hall?
Yeah.
I believe it's $30 for.
Oh, $30. That's way cheaper.
Yeah. So, and I've been asking people that I know are going to be there if anybody can hook us up with better tickets in the exhibit hall, and nobody has made any definitive promises, but I've heard a couple let me look into it, so I don't know anything about that yet.
Okay. Well, people are saying the live stream is offline again. Chris, no more live streaming. Can you guys verify that? Because it still looks okay on my side. God, so goofy, man. So goofy. And it's funny, like I don't have any downloads going or anything crazy. Other people are saying it's fine. He's wrong. I am seeing it. All right, so
must be regional or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So somebody asked what I do for my full-time job. So my full-time job is I run an IT department, and that's about as much as I'm going to talk about my day job. Everything else that I do, the consulting. I do some subcontracting for Chris as well. That's all on the side, so outside. So I work, 40 to 50 hours a week at my day job, spend time with my family, then do the consulting and the subcontracting on the weekends and after my kids go to bed about 7:30 at night.
Very cool. So let's answer some people's questions. Now, a couple things right off the bat. Number one, Willie and I are time limited today. We've actually done some live streams where we went almost 4 hours. Mm-hmm. So we are limited on time today. Willie's got an appointment and I've got an appointment. So we are going to terminate the live stream at 11:30 a.m. sharp. Which is about another hour and a half. So just FYI on that, you guys.
Yep.
Second of all, Super Chats are on. So we're going to go through and answer you guys' questions. But if you want a guaranteed answer to your question and you don't want it to get lost in the stream of stuff that's flowing past the window, go ahead and hit that Super Chat and we will absolutely answer your question for you. I saw a question from Hugo on the solar camera solution. Let me bring up my local Unify video here. So let me talk about that for a second because 127.0.0.1:7443. Because version 2 of my solar setup is now complete and it is awesome. So I do want to talk about that. I'm going to do a video about that coming here pretty soon. Oops. Trying to remember my own Unify password. Nope, I can't get it. Darn, I've got it saved on my phone. Anyways, okay, so I do have a new solar setup. It is working very well, and it's a lot more efficient now. Oh, Jay, Super Chat, $10. Get some beers. Happy Friday. Thank you so much. Much appreciated, man. Awesome. Thank you for being such a good supporter.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So yes, so the solar setup is now much improved. It's all DC. There's no conversion. I got rid of the 5 volts USB to air gateway setup that I originally had, which, by the way, that setup, as janky as that setup was, and again, I'm just learning solar, so I learned a ridiculous amount after I put out that video because everyone put in their constructive criticism and their comments and their suggestions for improvement, and I read all of that stuff. I absolutely check out every single comment that gets put on my page. And so I did a lot of research based on what people had mentioned, and I came up with sort of version 2 of the solar kit, which is implemented. I implemented it 2 days ago, so it's been running for about 36 hours now, and so far so good. But I have 12 volt DC into a 12 volt to 24 volt step-up converter out to the nanostation, which is easily powering both the nanostation and an attached UVC camera. Okay, so it's been running like that perfectly for 36 hours, no problems, and yeah, I'm very, very happy with this new setup. We'll see actually how long it can last. So my last, janky setup lasted 5 days, and 4 of those days were overcast out here in Oregon. Okay, so that was actually pretty impressive on its own, even with the the inefficiencies that I had built into that system. So I was pretty impressed with the first version. The second version, of course, is now pulling more power off of solar because I've got the camera running too, and I've even noticed a difference in power draw between day and night. So when the night mode of the camera is on, it's pulling about 25% more power.
So what's your total cost for the hardware for your version 2 setup, Chris?
Well, let's see. It's actually ultimately, I think, cheaper than the version 1 setup. You know what? I'll put all of that on the video. I'm not going to do math on a live stream because that always makes you look stupid. Right. So I'm not going to do that. But I will have all of the costs and calculations, all that stuff on the live stream. So Eugene Zerkovsky. Yep. I think I just pronounced that right. Eugene Zerkovsky. Let me know if I pronounced that right. I'm pretty sure I did. Your videos help a lot. Thanks. Well, thank you so much, Eugene. Appreciate it. Tech Reality, 10 pounds.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That'll buy me a good warm English beer.
So, before you built your own, did you look at some of the pre-built solutions for the solar?
No. And I didn't on purpose because I wanted to learn it, and I want to learn how all the stuff fits together, and I want to learn how to properly measure the voltage and the output from the various components to learn it. I mean, if you buy a kit, if you would just buy a kit that you're putting together, you're not going to learn as much, right? You're just assembling pieces, right? Anyone can do that. I want to actually learn this stuff. I'll tell you one thing that I did learn, though. Harbor Freight solar panels are real pieces of shit.
Dude, everything at Harbor Freight falls into that same category.
So I have a 45-watt solar panel kit from Harbor Freight, and in direct sunlight, the most wattage I've ever observed from that panel kit is 28 watts. So it's very inefficient. Even though it says it's 45 watts, it's not even close to that. So I would strongly recommend some better solar panels, and I think I'll probably get some more solar panels at some point. That'll be like the next version, because I want to test out different types of solar panels to see which ones are most efficient.
Right on.
Eric Goodrich, $5. I know
Eric.
Willie has stated he does not mark up the Ubiquiti hardware, neither do I. The hardware stuff he sells, and I was wondering about you, Chris, in terms of markup. There we go. So when I am doing a project for customers, I do not mark up the Ubiquiti hardware either. I shouldn't say I don't mark it up. I should say I don't mark it up beyond my cost. I mark up the Ubiquiti hardware, the cost that I purchase it for, plus the credit card processing fees that when someone pays me for a job.
Right.
Okay, so I don't. That's all I mark it up. It's like 3.4% or something like that. So I just want to make sure that I'm not paying for other people's credit card processing fees.
And the way that I handle it is if it depends on where we're buying from, but I usually don't handle the product unless it needs to be configured. So if it's Unify, we can configure it all at the customer site and do it remotely. So I would say in 95% of all of my projects, I provide a list of all of the equipment and quantities that need to be purchased by the client. Mm-hmm. And I either send them to Double Radius, Streakwave, or Amazon, and then we get the hardware direct drop ship to the customer, and then it helps here, so I don't have to deal with sales tax. This is the state of Illinois, so there's a tax on everything. Right. In fact, there's probably a tax on this live stream, so I'm gonna have to check that when I get done. But yeah, I don't mark up any product at all. It is all directly shipped, and then that way the customer buys it. They have the proof of purchase, the date of purchase. If there's ever a warranty issue, we can go right back to that. I don't have to track that. It's easy for the customer to have, and then you know what you're getting, and I make my money on labor, so that's where it's at.
Yeah. So someone has recommended the 100-watt Rhenology polyocrystalline. Thank you, Wouter Simmons. We will get to your question in a second. €10. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So let me switch over to this view. I might lose your picture. No, I guess I didn't. So there we go. So there you can see on Amazon, this is the one that was recommended. And that's not bad. 100-watt panel for $125.99. So maybe I'll try that one next because I saw someone else did a second of that as well. Again, I'm not familiar with a lot of this solar stuff, so I haven't had a lot of experience with it. If you give me recommendations, I'm absolutely willing to listen to those.
Are you going to buy a pole mount kit for these?
No, probably not, because this is just for my own testing for the most part. I mean, we do have a real-world application that we're working on for a customer as part of this project, but no, for my own personal home setup, I'm not gonna get a pole mount for it. Okay, so Wouter Simmons, this is a question for Willie, most likely. And a lot of people asking, by the way, about my mining, my Ethereum mining. That is going well. I'll cover that in just a bit. But so Wouter says, any thoughts on a router for 40 to 50 people with 4 VLANs and 5 public IPs, 4 for servers? Would the USG Pro work? And I mean, I would say yes.
No, the USG Pro will not work if you've got multiple public IPs.
Oh, is that right? I thought it could do, I thought that was something that they added the capability for.
Did they add that in the? Does somebody know? Did they add that in the latest version? Because I was. Oof! Hold on. Let me open up my controller.
All right, yeah, find out, because I thought that it was in there. If it's not, then yeah, definitely not. You go for the go for an edge router. You don't even need the Pro, man. 40 to 50 people, you could go for an edge router light. I mean, you might as well go for the Pro, I guess. 40 to 50 people. It really depends on the speed of your internet connection.
Now let's see, devices. Oh, you know what? This is a different controller. Hold on here.
All right, so Willie's looking up that question. I'll talk about mining in the meantime. I am doing mining. I am doing okay with it. You guys will see my amazing income here in a second. Let me show you here. All right, I don't think there's any danger showing my wallet ID on camera, because basically all someone would be able to do would be donate money to me. So if you guys want to donate Ethereum, there's my wallet ID. But yeah, so you can see my amazing hash rate of 10.3 mega hashes per second average for the last 6 hours, and I've made 0.015 Ethereum after running for about a week. So again, the system that I built for Ethereum mining was very, very underpowered, because again, I'm just learning. I wasn't building it to make money. I was building it to learn, and I have learned a lot about Ethereum mining. And the one thing that I have learned mostly is that you need an Antminer if you're going to do anything with Ethereum. So if you look at like the Bitmain website, and I've tried to buy these Antminers, they are just unavailable. And even if you do happen to purchase one, it's not available until the end of November right now.
Are these the little USB?
No, these are the, oh, it's actually on add to cart. Look at that. Can you actually add it to cart right now? Oh my god, look. So if you guys wanted an Antminer, here's the time. Look at that.
Oh, so explain what this is, because
okay, so this is, so the Antminer is basically a self-contained computer that is designed to make the most efficient use of the GPU for mining a very particular type of coin. They have different Antminers per different type of coin. The Antminer D3 is for the Dash coin, which is what Ethereum is. Okay. Now, if you look at the specs down here, this thing has a hash rate of 15 gigahashes per second. It also runs at 1200 watts. So basically what you do is, let's see, if I say Ethereum profitability calculator, Ethereum profit calculator. Okay, so you go to cryptocompare.com, and you can look at the different types of coins. So if I click on Dash coin and I put in my settings, so you can see on the screen here, 15 gigahashes per second. This is if I had one of these Antminer D3s. My power consumption is 1200 watts, and my power here on the Oregon coast costs me 8.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, so with that factored in, the Antminer D3 today would be making me $5,134 per month in Ethereum. Does that make sense?
That's amazing. You should buy 10.
That's what I'm saying. And you can't get your hands on them. Like right now, I could add this to cart. The problem is they only take Bitcoin and Litecoin to purchase it, and I'm in the process. Who's calling me? Do not disturb. I'm in the process of. I should probably take this off of the screen here. I'm in the process of trying to get one. Hang on a second. I'm logging in.
So while you're doing that, I checked my USG on 5.5.20. Now, I don't have the Pro hooked into this controller, but I don't see where I can add multiple WAN IPs. So if any of my friends at Ubiquity Networks are listening and you have me on any sort of a chat program, can you chime in and let me know if it is actually possible to have, without the JSON file, multiple public IPs on a USG. I don't know if anybody's going to chime in or not. We'll have to see.
So someone is saying on here, speaking of the mining, that you can build your own GPU mining rig for Ethereum, and you absolutely can. But if you guys look at the cost of building a GPU mining rig, which with the price of video cards today is going to be over $3,000, the cost to the hashing power that you get, like that ratio, is a lot lower with a GPU mining rig than it is with this very specific ASIC chip made for mining Ethereum. Which is why these things sell like hotcakes. And yes, Brandon just made up a good point. Graphics cards are very hard to get. They're about 50% elevated as far as price goes because everyone's snapping up the AMD cards for Ethereum mining.
Man, yeah. What's Bitcoin at? It's over $3,000 or $4,000 a Bitcoin, right?
Bitcoin just hit $4,000 this week.
When I first started tinkering with it years ago, I should have just kept going.
Yes, you should have. You absolutely should have. Ethereum or Bitcoin has jumped up double in just the past month or so. It's been crazy. Sorry, guys. I'm seeing if they'll take U.S. dollars for this Antminer now, because I swear to God I'm buying one right now, because if it's available, I'm going to buy one. So I'm working in the background here.
And see, I'm not sure. I'd have to look and see what my power costs here, but we found another product. It wasn't the Antminer, but for us to break even on Bitcoin, this was about 4 months ago. It was like 9 months in Peoria, Illinois to break even.
How much was it?
It was about it would take us 9 months. We figured with the cost of power and the cost in the original outlay for the miner.
Yeah.
It would take us 9 months, and then the last 3 months of the year there'd be profit.
Wow. Well, and then it's profit from there on out. Now this one, the ROI, if at these prices right now, is crazy, right? I mean, that's like basically your ROI is like a week on the miner, and then you've got, all profit from there on out. Now here's the problem. So you say like, well, okay, then what's the catch, right? Like why isn't everyone just doing this? And there's a couple of reasons. Number one is because where's my hang on a second, let me get back to the comments view, the chat view. So number one downside is that as more and more people are mining any cryptocurrency, the difficulty goes up, right? Which means that the amount that you can mine with whatever GPU you're using goes down. Okay, so by come November, right? Come November with the Antminer D3, if I bought one and finally received it like towards November, December timeframe, this profitability is likely going to be a lot lower.
Right.
Right? This is if I had it today. Okay, so who can say what it's going to be in 6 months? You're taking a $1,500 gamble on getting it now.
Well,
So
but if you had it this month, it would pay for itself, though, by the time
very
the next month
very
comes
quickly.
around.
Yes, very quickly. And so yeah, so that's the gamble you're taking. You're also taking the gamble that, like the stock market, cryptocurrency goes up and down, right? So you're taking the fact that one dash equals $231 US today. This could be one dash equals $50 US in November. You don't know. You have no idea, right? So again, it's like stock market stuff. It's all kind of a gamble. And sorry, I didn't want to derail this and make it a full Bitcoin mining live stream, but like I am so I've been learning so much about Bitcoin mining lately that it's very it's like right in the front of my mind. So I've been thinking a lot about it.
Right. So back to our multiple WAN IPs on the USG. Eric Goodrich commented that from Chris over at Ubiquity that it's going to be on the list for Unify 5.7 release line.
Okay.
So I would go with, like, you got 40 to 50 users, depending on what your pipe coming in is, even if it's a 200, 200, even 500, 500. You can go with an Edge Router X or an Edge Router X SFP, and that thing will handle the load.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the Edge Router X personally. I prefer the Edge Router Lite or Edge Router Pro for a 40, 50 person deployment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would work.
And let me tell you why I really like that router is because it actually has a hardware switch chip in it. Mm-hmm. So when you do switching on any of the other Edge routers, it's all software driven. So there's a penalty for that. And the Edge Router X actually has the hardware to do that. So when you create that switch 0, there's no performance penalty.
Oh, gotcha. Trying to bring up my chat. Where's my live dashboard? Okay, there we go. And sorry that the thumbnail didn't get updated, guys. This is just a YouTube thing. If you didn't join us for the very beginning of this live stream, we were having all sorts of fun YouTube problems.
Right. I will be right back. 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes for Willie to go use the restroom.
That's exactly what it is.
All right, guys. Well, let's pop out your questions. Any questions you have for me while Willie is out, go ahead and throw them up now, and I will try to get answered what I can get answered for you. Yes, and Jay, it is sketchy that you can only buy the Antminer with cryptocurrency. I don't know if that's necessarily sketchy. So the Antminers come from China, so they only take cryptocurrency, which is basically instant, or you have to do like a wire of US dollars over to them. So that's I think sort of the difference there. Yeah, because Litecoin, if you pay with Litecoin or Bitcoin, it takes like basically less than an hour. If you pay with US Wire, you have to like it takes potentially up to 7 days. Okay, so let's look at these questions here. Mikey, that's Brandon. You can tag the phones with VLAN or use option 66. So talking about getting phones connected. If you guys use Sangoma phones, you could always do the Sangoma Zero Touch Redirect Portal, which is what I use for most of my deployments these days, because then you don't have to worry about option 66. You don't have to worry about anything else getting the phones connected.
All right, so I'm back.
How do you quote for a job when it comes to cable installs? Do you work on averages or just eyeballing it? So, Havoc, that's a great question. I don't do a lot of cabling jobs because most of my work is not local. So I think Willie would be better suited to answer that question, but I will throw in that if you guys follow Tom Lawrence's channel,
yep,
he did a video on that exact subject a couple weeks ago where he talks about how he bids cable jobs. So go back on Thomas Tech. I forget what his actual channel name is. Or Lawrence Systems, maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
No, Thomas Tech is something else. I think it's Lawrence Systems. And he did a good video on it. Check it out. That'll answer your questions. But I think he has the right idea in terms of doing a cable bid job, is that you should charge per drop.
And that
so come up with a price per drop, because that way if anything changes, like the customer's like, oh yeah, and I want 10 more drops over here, just the price per drop goes up accordingly. Yep,
and that is, I bid per drop, and I usually have Monty come in. You guys have seen Monty on the videos. He pulls a lot of cable, and I think he starts at about for simple ones. I think it starts at about $70 a drop, and that includes cable and the hardware.
$70 a drop is cheap. Usually when way back in the day when I used to do a lot more network administration and I'd have to have cable pulls done on a more regular basis, I usually estimated it at about $120 a drop, and that's going back easily 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. And so, yeah, Monty always goes out. He does a walk around. In fact, he is pulling cable for our mall install. That's what he's doing today. So.
Oh, cool. Hi from Croatia. You both have great channels. Love the way you moved to more than Unify. Yes. Yes.
Funny.
Well, we're gonna expand into shit, I forgot the name of their stupid. What's that new thing they came out with? The ULabs thing, live stream.
Oh, front row.
Front row. Yeah, we're gonna switch to an all front row channel, and just do videos on front row. We're gonna just live stream with front row.
So it's an interesting concept, and I wish them the best of luck with that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out in the long run.
Yeah, listen, I applaud them for branching out into various areas, but I would caution not to detour too far from their core business model. I mean, look, they have other, like, solar. Like, I didn't have any problem with them venturing into solar for some reason. But, like, this thing just seems a little, I don't know, maybe just because it's not, like, a business tool, And it's also, yeah. I'm not in the target demographic for something like that. I think that's more geared towards, like, a younger generation of people. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a, when I do my live streams on site, I use an iPod Touch. Mm-hmm. It gives me 720 video. It's got this really nice case on it, and I've got a glass protector, so if I drop it, it doesn't explode. And total with this, I caught this thing on sale. This thing cost me less than $200.
Yeah.
It can do more than stream, and it can stream to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, everything right from here. So.
Just remember to start the stream in landscape mode, right?
Dude, I will never make that mistake again. I love it, because as soon as we make a mistake, people are, and I do appreciate that people are quick to let us know. Some people could smooth the edges out a little bit when they deliver the message. You can deliver a dirt sandwich with a smile, but I do appreciate people letting us know, when we could be doing things differently.
Yeah. So, question from Roberto. What's your opinion on the new FreeBBX 14, and will you dedicate a video to it? Absolutely. So, I have not personally upgraded my own system to FreeBBX 14 yet, though I have installed it just in a test environment. And I also spoke with the developers, or at last year's AstroCon, they were talking all about FreeBBX 14 and the efficiencies that are built into it, which is the main focus. So they actually put up side-by-side SSH windows, and they ran database queries in real time on FreePBX 13 versus FreePBX 14. And FreePBX 14 was easily 200% faster, if not more, just due to the efficiencies that they built into the back end. So that's mostly what it's all about. There are some added bells and whistles, like they've really improved the user control panel. They're doing some work to integrate like Google calendars and stuff into your time-based schedules. So for instance, you could create a Google Calendar with specific events that turn the phone system on and off, like if there's holidays or whatever on the Google Calendar, so that you never have to manually go in and update things. So they are doing a lot of really good improvements, but it's mostly under the hood improvements. And what I'll probably do, and I've thought about this a lot, because I have the FreePBX 13 series that basically stalled out, and I only got about halfway through it, and I got too busy, and now they've got FreePBX 14 out. So I will most likely be scrapping my FreePBX 13 tutorial series and starting fresh with 14 at some point. I can't even tell you when. It would be after October.
Yeah. So you know how you asked me to learn FreePBX?
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. and I just spun up a VM the other night on my server here, and I think, was it 14 that I probably just downloaded? I think it was. Whatever's available is the latest one that I just got. Let me see.
Yeah, it must be 14.
Yep.
So, Sirius Live, Howard Jones, when can we expect Solar Powered Part 2? That is likely coming next week. I have everything. It's working, and I just have to shoot the video. And you know, these videos, you got to keep in mind that like the solar video is 20 minutes long or so, but that was a tremendous amount of effort in the back end to get all of that together and get it out. And even for a video where I am right up front saying that I am not a solar guy, I am not an electrical guy, I'm likely going to sound like a donkey on a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, I still do a ton of research before I actually put a video like that out. So the Part 2 video is going to take a lot of time and effort just to like I got to like write down everything that I want to talk about in that video and make sure that I get it as right as possible.
Right.
So it'll probably be another week before that video's out.
Yeah. So I've seen this question come up a couple times about Synology NAS using OpenVPN. And Zachabo, before I can answer that, that question's a little vague. So if you could narrow in what you're looking for, I might be able to answer that. So I'm really excited, actually, about the free PBX. I've got a guy that I'm working with out of New York. His name is Chris as well. I've done a couple quotes for him for Wi-Fi and stuff like that. He's got a Yealink something that's got a color screen. He's not using it. He's sending it. So as soon as I get that, that's going to be the first phone on my free PBX system.
Cool. Yeah, Yealink's good. I would certainly strongly recommend Sangoma phones as well.
Yep. You want to send me one?
Maybe. I might be able to send you one. I got a ton of extras, as you can see.
Yeah.
So, all right, so a couple super chats came in. Daniel Valadas, thank you very much. How do you suggest sharing Outlook or Gmail contacts in free PBX and then distribute it automatically to all phone books? That's a good question. So there is a... how would you do Outlook or Gmail contacts shared to free PBX? I don't think you can do it directly. I think you'd have to maintain a separate database. There is a way for free PBX to integrate with a personal Outlook contact book. So like basically incoming calls can look up your personal Outlook contacts, and then outgoing calls you can click to call from Outlook. That's a product called Zulu. However, it's not integrated with Outlook for like an entire organization, right? For that you would need a centralized directory, or you'd have to use something like the CRM module, which then if you have a specific type of CRM, you can integrate that with free PBX and then have basically company-wide system directory and lookups and whatnot. So that's what I would recommend there. I don't think they have like Gmail contact full integration with free PBX yet. And it might be in 14, but I haven't looked at that yet. And then Sirius Live, Howard Jones, will this coffee money speed things up? $10. Thank you very much for the super chat. I don't think it's going to be able to speed up my solar video because, again, it's just the time that it takes to get all of that information together and make sure that I put out a quality video as opposed to a crap video, which I don't want to do. And there was so much that I have learned in the past, I guess, 2 weeks. My new setup is pretty stellar, so I'm excited to show it off. The only thing I would upgrade at this point is I would get rid of that crappy ass Harbor Freight 45-watt solar panel and put something a little bit more robust in place. That's funny. Yeah.
That is funny. There's somebody asked what the best controller for home is. It depends. If you've got your own hardware, you can run the controller on Windows, Linux. I prefer to run it on Linux, but you could run it on your Windows box.
You're talking about Unify controller.
Yep. You could spin up a DigitalOcean. You can get a DigitalOcean controller for as cheap as $5 a month.
Yeah, look at my video. I just did a video a couple weeks ago called 15-minute hosted Unify controller installation on DigitalOcean, and it's literally it's 15 minutes. You can have a Unify controller up and running in the cloud.
Yeah. Then somebody asked, what are your thoughts on the UAS Pro that's on the beta store at the moment? So I do have a UAS Pro. I got it in the first beta release, and then they've sold out, I guess, and come back. If you check my Twitter, I posted an image. I've installed ESXi 6.5 on my box, and you can see some of the hardware specs. So it's got like 32 gigs of RAM. It's got an M.2 boot drive, and then I think it's got two 2 terabyte hard drives in it, and it comes preloaded with an Ubuntu install. And I've blown that out, and right now it's ESXi because I've got my free PBX on there. I've got some dedicated pen testing tools that I'm running. I don't know. I've got like a dozen VMs. I've got a Windows Server 2016 because people want to see, how to set up Active Directory and stuff like that. So we're going to do a couple videos on that. But at the beta price, I think the hardware is a decent deal, especially if you're looking for everything to say Unify on it. If you want the silver package with the, if you want everything to look and say Unify on it, you'd have to go out and price it. I haven't built any servers in a while to this spec. Maybe Chris can speak to this, but I think it's going to depend on really what you're looking for. So I know Ross Williams, I think, follows both of us. He's over in England, and he's basically waiting for me to release the video. And I do. Since it's a beta program, they come with big red beta stickers on them, and you can't do reviews, you're not supposed to do videos, things like that. But I do have permission to be able to do a video on it, but I'm kind of holding off because it's been stuck in the beta store, and I'm not sure if it's going to get released or if they're retooling the hardware or what. So I'd like to wait a little bit because I don't want, if they do something dramatic with the hardware, I don't want there to be this big difference between what I put out there and what people are buying. So
right. So a couple of super chats. I'll do Zombie Man first. $5. Keep up the great work. $5 Canadian. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. That is awesome. And Bill Green, $5 US super chat. How well would free PBX work for a hotel? And how to charge the customer for use. Also, I would love a free Sangoma phone. Thanks. Well, you'd have to talk to Sangoma about the Sangoma phone, but I can certainly talk to you about free PBX in a hotel environment. Free PBX in a hotel environment is not my favorite type of installation. Reason being is a couple of things. Number one, the phones in a hotel are very specialized. Like, Mitel is kind of the leader in hotel phone systems, where they actually have phones that are specialized for hotels that have like the front desk button and the room service button and like that sort of stuff. And while you can replicate some of that with Sangoma or Yealink or these other phones, it's never going to be as integrated as that. The other reason that I don't like hotel phone systems is for what you mentioned, how to charge the customer for use. Okay, so that is a problem because you need to be able to potentially tie your phone records into whatever accounting and billing system you're using to bill customers for their stay at the hotel. Okay, so at the very least, you're looking at some custom programming, or perhaps like export of all call detail records into a database, and then being able to associate extension XYZ goes with room 123, and between this date and this date, any calls to that from that room need to be charged on the bill. It's a big mess that I don't want anything to do with. So I have done some hotels, but the hotels that I've done are basically for internal staff where they really don't even have phones in the rooms. Because, yeah, that's just, most people have cell phones these days anyways. Luke Roy, $10 super chat. Thank you so much for the $10 and no comment. So I think we've already answered a couple of his questions, but... All right, Andrew Knows Tech, $2 super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. Will you review Ubiquiti SunMax? Probably not. I don't think so. So yeah. SunMax is a little bit of a different application than what I'm trying to do. SunMax is geared towards full home solar, where mine is mostly geared towards smaller solar deployments. Yeah. So I don't think... Listen, let's put it this way. Ubiquiti. I know we're not on the best of terms right now, but if you see it in your heart to send me any SunMax equipment, I will happily review it on my channel. Let's put it that way.
That's what I was just going to say. If they send me one, I'll do it. But I went out and did the pricing, Chris, and for one panel and the inverter and everything you need, plus the shipping, because that shit's heavy, it was over, when I priced it not too long ago. It was over $500 for one panel. So I didn't.
That's what I'm saying. If you're scaling that out to an entire roof, the cost, per solar panel, whatever, comes down significantly because you're scaling it out. But one solar panel with all the equipment that you need to run it is a little pricey.
Right.
All right, Shri V writes, have you tried 3CX and what do you think? I have not tried 3CX. I've been selling against 3CX for as long as I can remember. Originally, I did not like 3CX because it was a Windows-based distribution, and I think that's a terrible idea to have such a mission-critical application as a phone system running on a Windows box. I much prefer Linux for mission-critical applications. And I don't like their licensing model, frankly. They give you, I think it's up to like 5 or 15 extensions for free, and that's it, right? So I much prefer the licensing model of FreePBX, where you can have as many extensions. You can have a fully functional phone system with as many extensions as you want on it, and then what you're paying for are the extra bonuses, the commercial modules like the Page Pro and the Endpoint Manager and stuff like that. So I really like that model a lot better than the way that 3CX does things.
So Chris, one thing I want to address real quick, let's talk about Mitel and about how they're, I think I pinged you because I got a letter from, I don't know if they're considered VARs or what they are, but, Toshiba went belly up, and now Mitel has stepped in, and they're picking the bones. Didn't you say they were doing this with a couple other vendors as well?
There was one other one very recently. So Toshiba was a big one, and then there was another. I think Mitel just bought. Oh, of course, I'm not going to think of the name of it on a live stream. They just bought. It starts with an S. Anyone in the comments? I forget who Mitel just bought. ShoreTel? I think they just bought ShoreTel. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So Mitel just bought ShoreTel. So it seems like Mitel is sort of picking up the pieces of all of these businesses. So the legacy phone business, of course, is so expensive that people are starting to lose money, right? Like, so FreePBX and these other open source and more cost-effective phone systems, including, like, not just FreePBX, but like they've got like Grasshopper now, you know what I mean? Which is like where you can basically pay X dollars per month per extension and have a fully, it's basically like a Squarespace for phone systems, you know what I mean? Where anyone, even without PBX knowledge, can get in and have a phone system up and running for their small business. Right. So those types of businesses have taken so much of the bottom end out, which, by the way, most companies in the United States are small businesses, right? The vast majority of companies in the U.S. are small businesses. And so since most of that base has been eroded, the larger guys, the Mitels and the ShoreTels that now basically only have the large enterprise deployments to fall back on, they're struggling, right? And so when Mitel buys a ShoreTel, they're not buying it so that they can, make ShoreTel a great product. They're buying it so that when all of those ShoreTel customers need a new phone system, they're going to have to buy Mitel because that's going to be basically the most compatible, the most, the easiest sort of next step for those customers, as opposed to having to find something else. So they're not buying, they're not buying ShoreTel. They're buying ShoreTel's customers. Right. Okay, let's make that very clear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's that's betting on the come. I don't know, because I'll tell you that, when I found out, Toshiba had gone belly up, I talked to my purchasing manager and we're like, okay, we've got to get together and we got to have a plan because we are no longer going to be locked into proprietary whatever. And so now we're looking at, okay, how do we not get locked into this? And so like a free PBX solution, I think, is what we're going to recommend.
Sangoma's killing it right now, man. They are doing very, very well in the free PBX market, and just the fact that they have so much development happening, and that to me is always a very good measurement of how well a company is doing, is how robust their development team is, right? And how often they're coming out with updates and how QA'd those updates are, etc. So that's, yeah. Anyways, all right, so we missed a couple super chats here. I want to make sure we get to those. Matthew Lazara, $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I have Unify NVR. It shows low bandwidth and lags using Chrome on the local network. The switch is Unify 24250. When I use the Apple app on the local network, it doesn't. Any thoughts? Are you using the standard Unify NVR, and how many cameras do you have attached to it? Would be my first two questions for you.
And what? How are you connecting with your phone? Is it Wi-Fi or is it over the air?
Well, he said the Apple app works fine. He says when he's using Chrome on the local network is when it's having trouble.
Missed that. Yeah.
So when you've got a phone system that an NVR, the cameras writing to the drive, if you've got a bunch of cameras writing to the drive, the CPU is it's not very used in that instance, right? If you're not actually viewing the cameras, the CPU is minimal. We're talking like 2 to 4% CPU in the NVR. As soon as you start viewing those cameras, however, you're going to see that CPU, especially in the Ubiquiti NVR, the official one, because it's, in my opinion, quite underpowered. You're going to see that spike up to easily 50, 60 or more percent CPU utilization just from viewing the cameras. Okay, so pushing those HD video streams, especially multiple HD video streams out, takes a lot of resources in the system, which is why in the NVRs that I'm selling, I'm overpowering the CPU because I'm anticipating that people are going to be watching them locally on the server itself, which is, by the way, not something you can do with the Ubiquiti NVR out of the box. And number two, they're going to be viewing them remotely. So I wanted to plan for a lot of additional cameras, and I wanted to plan for a lot of remote viewing of those cameras. Case in point, and this is the last thing I will say about the NVRs. The Crosstalk NVR 20, I was doing testing on it last night. I have one that I'm building right here. I have a video that's coming out on that soon. The Crosstalk NVR 20, Core i5 6400 with 16 gigs of RAM. I have 5 G3 cameras hooked up to it. They're actually hooked up to it right now. And these G3 cameras are doing full high-resolution recording, and I was watching the cameras, all 5 cameras, locally on the machine, and I was watching all 5 cameras on my computer remotely, so 2 different feeds of 5 HD streams. At the same time, I was running a Linux stress test on the server. So I was hammering the living crap out of that server in terms of CPU, and the CPU never went above 50%. It's hovered at about 40%, and the load average went up to 20 on Linux. Okay, so I was hammering the crap out of it. Load average was high. CPU never went past 50%. Okay, so that's how you have to build an NVR. This Atom processor based NVR that Ubiquiti puts out is good for maybe up to 10 cameras and like 1 remote viewing stream, and that's it.
Yeah, and I use those. I use them a lot when I need a solution in like a non-temperature, environmentally controlled situation. So I've got these things in attics where it's hot. I've got them in boxes out on poles in the middle of nowhere where we have single cameras, and we connect to them over like a Verizon MiFi device. So we record all the camera footage locally, and then we access it using the video.ubnt.com service. It works out pretty well.
All right, let's see. I think we missed one other super chat.
That was Andrew.
Andrew knows tech. Do I need the PoE adapter for G3 camera on the US8 60 watt? Yes, you do. So the US8 60 watt is an 802.3 AF device. The G3 cameras are 24 volt passive. So you either need a switch that can do 24 volt passive natively, or you need to purchase the adapter.
For now,
yeah.
So,
I'd like it. Honestly, I would love it if they switched the G3 cameras to 802.3 AF. I think that would be wonderful.
Well, you know that the dome camera can already be powered that way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why not the G3?
Well, I think everything is moving that direction, according to what I've been reading. So
I hope it is.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I know that some of the people on the Ubiquiti community, some of the old timers, I think they call them super users. I'm not a super user over there, but one guy I think came out and he was saying it's a mistake to get rid of the passive PoE and the Unify switch, because I think they've got plans to get rid of that 24 volt passive. and we'll just have to. I mean, we'll have to see how it shakes out. I mean,
Yeah.
I think moving towards the getting away from the low voltage for the Unify stuff, and then leaving the Air Max stuff, making that separation. I don't see a problem with it.
I mostly want them to go to 802.3 AF across the board because I've blown out 3 cable testers by plugging them into 24-volt passive ports accidentally.
Right.
So that it's like, what's that burning smell all of a sudden?
Well, and it's funny that you say that because I've got these net tools, and right on the package for the net tool, it says warning: device not to be used on ports with 24 or 12 volt pass-through PoE. The passive, you can plug it into a standard 802.AF port because it senses whether the device needs power or not. So, I mean, we've got these warning stickers for a reason.
Right.
Must be me and you.
Well, it's going to be pushing power to your device whether you want it to or not. It's 24-volt passive. That's what it means.
Yep.
Right? So it's not going to auto-sense that stuff. So, yeah, I like the standard 802.3 AF, though the 24-volt solar setup that I have out here is passive, and that's actually working really well.
So, let's see. Somebody asked us, do we ever deploy Wi-Fi cameras? Sometimes hard to run Ethernet. I haven't coupled it with an access point like on the pass-through port. You could do that as long as you can provide local power. But I have paired, and I know, Chris, you probably have too, paired a G3 with like an Air Max device and backhauled it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've got right here. I mean, I don't know if you can probably even see this, but if you look out my window, let's see if I can get this steady. Okay, you guys see this right here? On this tree right here is a NanoStation M5, and then right below it is a UVC camera being powered by the auxiliary port of that NanoStation M5.
So wait a minute. So the NanoStation M5 has pass-through power?
It does.
Oh, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so that's what I'm running. It was pulling off of the solar. It was pulling 0.3 amps with both of those devices powered up by my solar charge controller. And then when the IR turned on at night, it was pulling 0.4 amps.
So I know you're watching this. How, like, if you were to cut the charging off from your solar, how long do you think? How long will those batteries run your gear?
That's a really good question, and I don't have an answer to that because I don't yet have a reliable way to measure the amount of juice left in the battery. And in addition to that, most solar experts or solar, tips that I've read say that you want to size your solar system so that the battery never runs below 50%. Okay, so technically you don't ever want the battery to get below 50%. It has to do with the type of battery, lithium ion versus blah, 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 which I don't understand all of that. But it's apparently not great for the battery to run it all the way down.
It'll ruin it, won't it, if you let the battery go all the way down?
I don't think so, because the first setup that I had out here, I literally let it run until it died. And it was 5 days, and 4 of those days were overcast, right? So it wasn't picking up that much off of the solar panels on those 4 overcast days. And it was only powering the NanoStation, though. And it was also underpowering the NanoStation. It was only pushing about 12 or 14 volts out to it, which was enough to power the NanoStation, but not enough to power the attached camera.
Gotcha.
So now I've got that same battery. It's juiced up. I let it run on the solar with nothing connected to it for about a week almost. I'm sure it was fully juiced up at that point. I've got it now running both the NanoStation and the attached camera. It's working fine, and I'm not doing any crazy conversions. I've got 12 volts straight into a 12 volt to 24 volt step-up converter, straight into a PoE injector, all DC. I'm not doing any inverter or anything like that. Everything's DC all the way out to the NanoStation. And so we'll see. The power efficiency is pretty solid. And again, I'm just kind of waiting and seeing, but I'll show you guys my cacti graph here. 156/cacti. So let me flip over to my...
So is there a cacti plugin for this controller that you're running, or?
No, there is not. So here, let me switch over to this view here. So you guys can see this is cacti. And this is just ping latency. That's all I'm testing.
Oh,
and I'm doing ping latency just as a measurement of straight up uptime. Okay? So if we look at the graph here, this is my 24-hour graph at the top. This is my week graph at the bottom. We can see that I turned it on the 16th, just about midday, or actually I think it was about 6 p.m. or so on the 16th. So we can see that's when I turned it on. It's been working fine since then. And then down here in the week graph, or is this the month graph? This is the monthly graph. So you can see here, this is the first run, right? So it went on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days before going down. And then I disconnected everything but left the solar up to charge the battery for about, what is this, 8 days or so in between. And then I got everything eventually plugged back in. So now I'm just sort of watching cacti and keeping an eye on this, and this is one of my new measurement tools. The other one I have is I have a, this is actually really interesting to me. I have a charge controller from Victron Electric, I think is the name. Hang on, let me pull it up. Victron Electric, oh, Victron Energy. MPPT. So I bought an MPPT charge controller. It's the 7515. It's this one right here. Was it this one? 7510. No, it was the 7515. And then it has this little Bluetooth dongle right here, so that you can. There's an iPhone app that works off of Bluetooth. You plug it in, and you can actually see the wattage coming in from your solar panel. You can see the voltage on your battery, and you can see the load output in amps, all in real time.
So
now,
is there a way that you can export this and log it and create graphs and things like that?
What a great question you have there, Willie, and it sounds like you have quite the troubleshooting mind, because that's exactly what I did. And it's not this cable, but I bought another. So this is a proprietary end right here, this little white end.
Yeah.
They make another cable that is this proprietary end that connects into the what they call the VE Direct cable or whatever, and the other end is USB. Okay, so my next project after version 2 of solar, after this video, I have that cable already. I bought it. It was like a $30 cable too. I bought that cable, but Victron Energy is a very big proponent of open source, and so they have a web page on their site dedicated to all of the different open source projects that people have done with their controllers. Okay, so my next project is to use a Raspberry Pi, perhaps this Raspberry Pi 3 kit that I haven't even opened yet, right? To basically take USB output into a database on the Raspberry Pi, or even just a CSV file or something, and then convert that into a graph where I can measure. I'd like to be able to measure the wattage coming in from the solar panel, and I'd like to be able to measure the load on the battery and graph it in Cacti. That's my next project.
So do they also provide a tool then for the USB where you can actually monitor it in real time?
Yes. Yes, they have a way that you can use commands to output various variables in real time.
Nice.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's going to be a fun. I mean, you can tell I get excited about this because, like, I'm stoked about this whole solar project. I think it's going to be a real. It's really fun and interesting to me to work with the solar stuff. So.
Well,
and again, it's all about measurement too. I mean, guys, I cannot stress it enough. And this is not just for tech stuff. This is in everything in your life, including your own health. If it can be measured, it can be improved, okay? And that is key to anything that you're doing, and I firmly believe that. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, you live out in the middle of nowhere, so I mean, I'm assuming this is part of the preparation for the zombie apocalypse.
No, my shotgun is the preparation for the zombie apocalypse.
No, I've been following this because it's interesting because I've been thinking about it. I was actually looking at Tycon Power Systems.
They make very good stuff. Yep.
But it's my understanding that there's no way to monitor it like you can your controller. There's no historical logging. So I found one on eBay that would do what I want. It would power an AirMax device and a Unify access point. But I want those metrics. And the thing is, this guy bought them for a client, ended up not needing them. They were like 50% off, and I almost pulled the trigger. And I'm like, I think if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go down kind of the same path you did, where I do the research, and I got a buddy that's in solar, so I want something where I've got that data, something too where I can build like what you're doing and kind of do like a turnkey. Like if somebody comes to me and they're like, okay, out in the middle of nowhere, we don't want to put a mains power hookup on this. We just want to put some batteries in a box and power the 4G hotspot and the camera and the NVR. What do we need? Because I see it as solar alternative energy. Period. I think there's a huge untapped resource that we're sitting around, and I think the time has come really to do this in mass.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and like I said, just the I base a lot of things off of the response that I get off of YouTube, right? So if I do a video on a case, a new case or something, that's going to be a very low viewed video. Not too many people are interested in that kind of stuff. But the video that I did on the first part of my solar was huge. I mean, it got a humongous response. I mean, almost 200 comments and 24,000 views within a few days. So that is a huge response to me. That's a very good litmus test for what people are actually interested in. Right. And so yeah, I was very happy with the results of that video, and I'm going to absolutely keep pushing to make the best possible solar setup that I can, and help educate myself as well as the people that watch me on YouTube.
Right.
By the way, Chris, did you learn to close doors in PUBG by now? I don't do a lot of door closing in PUBG. In fact, I don't have a lot of time to play PUBG, but I'll tell you what, I play with Brandon, who's also on the chat here. And I wish I had recorded this game, because Brandon pulled off this move where he killed 3 people, including a third guy that he jumped out of a window and did like a 180-degree spin and blasted him with a shotgun. Like, it was one of the most amazing things I've seen in that game, and I was so I so wish I had caught it on video, and I didn't. But I do love that game. I'm not any good at it, and I don't have the time to get good at it.
So let's see, are there any more questions here?
So people keep asking, like, why are you on the outs with UBNT? I don't want to go into that kind of stuff, guys. Certainly not in a public forum. So, sorry. I was avoiding that question completely. So I figured, but let's see. Want to link 2 US 8150 switches together via SFP ports aggregated 2 times Ubiquiti 1 gig SFPs. So you would have to have 4 SFPs, 2 in each switch, and then you could create a lag between those 2 switches. That'll work 100%. Should. That's a lot. Like, why would you? I mean, I understand that you can do that, but that's like, it would be very rare for me to have a need to do that, to link aggregate 2 SFPs. I'm just curious why you need to do that.
I see it a lot. In probably medium to larger size places where they don't want to upgrade to like a 10 gigabit, but they need more bandwidth between switches, and they may not have stacking switches. So,
ordering the net tool next week. All right, look at that.
Perfect. Don't forget to use Willie 15 as your promo code. Get 15% off.
You get free shipping, and it goes straight to Willie.
No, I will tell you, though, keep an eye on my channel. They sent a little survival kit, and it's got some, they send a bunch of stickers. So I've got a bunch of stickers I'm going to give away, and then let me grab this other thing real quick. All
right, in between, while he's grabbing that, Vianney? I don't know how to pronounce your name, Vianney. I'm going to say Vianney. My name is Vianney. I've been watching the videos from both of you, and you guys are awesome. I just started using Ubiquiti products. I would like to learn how to set up myself. Very good. I strongly recommend picking up Ubiquiti stuff and just playing with it. You can get a lot of cheap Ubiquiti stuff on like eBay. So if you're looking to just get like the old just 2.4 gigahertz UAPs, which still work fine, you can get those for very cheap on eBay.
Yep. So NetTool sent me a few of these really cool NetTool holders that go on your belt. So
I think technically, if it goes on your belt, it's a holster.
Holster. That's the word I was looking for. The word was escaping me. Thank you, Mr. Sherwood. So we're going to give some of these away too. Plus, don't forget we've got all those other net tools to give away.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
So, and then Havoc has asked a couple times how my name search is going along. So, Chris, I don't know if you watched my giveaway video, but I've got this security appliance that I'm putting together to send around to a couple other consultants that I'm working with, and we're going to do network auditing, penetration testing, things like that. I'm trying to come up with a name for it, so in that giveaway video, I asked people to help me name it. So if you want to throw a name out there, you could do it here in the live stream. If people watching us, they want to throw their appliance name in the ring, head on over to my channel and check out that video and put it in the comments. So I haven't settled on a name yet. The box ships out probably to the first customer in about 2 weeks. So I've got to let my wife know what the name is, because right over here she's got a Cameo silhouette and she makes all kinds of things out of vinyl. And so my H5 Technology LLC logo will be going on the top of the appliance. Cool. And then whatever we call the appliance will be going there, and then I'll apply for a trademark and all that. And I'm using, somebody wanted to know why I don't use like an Asus, these little Asus box that are $900 a piece, because I don't want to destroy a $900 device when I'm sending it to somebody, when I can get super micro servers that are gently used, that fit all of my hardware requirements for $60 a piece.
And you said it's a security appliance?
Yes.
Call it Sex Swing. SEC, like security. Sex Swing.
You know, you got to really be careful how you Google things these days. But so this is the prototype appliance.
Oh, that's the prototype Sex Swing right there. Excellent.
Yes, this is the prototype. So right here, company logo will be here. This may get a matte black finish on it. Haven't decided the color scheme or anything yet, but this will get pulled apart, painted whatever colors we're going to paint it, get the logo on the top,
cool,
and get shipped out for trial by fire. So it's Linux based, and I'm not going to give you any other details. It will be full disk encryption. There's a dongle that will go with each of these. If the dongle is removed, the device will not function. So
cool.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time wrapped up into doing this really properly. So I don't, if I ship it to somebody and they want to use it and they think they're going to copy the hard drive, I've got ways that I'm trying to prevent that.
Yeah. Call it Willie's box too.
Right. Yeah, you got to really be careful with the Google searches.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. That's exciting, man. That's fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
I'm sure you'll do some videos on that and all that once it's getting closer to release. Someone asked, by the way, where do you get those boxes for $60 a pop?
eBay. They're coming out of Michigan.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Free shipping.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
$60 is not bad.
No, I mean, it's got 4 gigs of RAM. It's got a Xeon processor, gigabit Ethernet. The only thing it doesn't come with is a hard drive, and I'm going to throw an SSD in there. So
that's great.
Yeah, and then you can pick up a good SSD that'll do everything I need for less than $100.
Yeah, because you only need like a 60 gig or 120 gig SSD max, right? I mean, you don't need a lot of space in there.
Yeah, that's it. And this thing's not going to do, it's not like it's doing high-intensity read-writes or anything like that. It's going to have an operating system, some tools. When it gets plugged in on site, it'll automatically call home and establish an SSH proxy back to my command and control server.
That's great.
And at that point, I'll have full command of the box and be able to work my magic.
Yeah, and then you will like laugh maniacally because you've got control over someone's network.
That's right.
Yeah, someone called it Howie's little toy box.
I love
Another person called it Free Willie.
Yeah.
I like that.
Keep going, guys. I haven't heard that 100 times.
You're like, why did that movie have to come out?
I know, man. It was rough as a kid, man. It really was. The bullies on the, oh man.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and I was I was like a normal kid, went through those fat, thin stages, and so when you were plumped up and the movie came out, it was, I'll never forget the names of those kids. Let's just put it that way. It's not Steve Buscemi wearing lipstick with a big list, but If I saw him changing a tire on the side of the road, I wouldn't stop.
Right. I got a lot of Sherwood Forest jokes growing up. That was my... Actually, I still kind of get those from time to time.
That's timeless right there.
Yeah, of course. All right, so let's see. The questions have slowed down. Guys, if you have questions, let's see. Howie and I are... This is our 30-minute warning, okay? So we have about 30 more minutes to talk to you guys, and then we are both going to skedaddle. And we probably, I imagine, won't do another live stream until Wispapalooza. So, Free Willy number 3. Man, that sucked. You know what sucked? I just watched last night. I started watching Guardians of the Galaxy 2. What a terrible movie that was. I mean, it's so stupid, man. Like they just made it a dumb movie. The first one I tried to rewatch before I watched the second one, and I couldn't even get through the first one either. Like I remember liking the first one when I first saw it, and then upon rewatching it I was like, man, this movie's stupid. And then I watched the second one, or started to watch the second one last night. I turned it off halfway through. I was like, this is dumb.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, sometimes the franchises need to know when to call it quits.
Yeah.
I think Pirates of the Caribbean, I enjoyed the last one. I'm a fan of all those movies, but I'm glad that they're going to... Now, I heard they left it open. I didn't stick around after the credits, but I heard they left it open for another one. I'm hoping they don't do that. Johnny Depp, if you're hearing me, please end it so we go out on a high note.
Oh, I'm sure he's watching this.
And then the Saw. I don't know if you're into horror films, but I really like the Saw movies, and I'm kind of disappointed that they're making a new one. Kind of not. So I thought that they maybe should have ended that one when they said it was over, because the last one was kind of out there. But
I've never seen a single one of those movies.
Man, it's.
How many are there? Like 6 of them or something?
6, 7, 8, something like that. But if you like horror flicks, the first one I think will probably go down in like those top 100 lists where they do like the best movies or whatever. I've
never seen a Saw movie. I'm not into horror films, but I have seen every single Fast and Furious movie.
You know what? The only one I haven't seen is Tokyo Drift.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that one's great. And it's funny because there's a whole canon that goes along with the Fast and Furious. Like Tokyo Drift takes place at a certain point in the story that's out of order from the rest of the films and stuff. Right. Like there's a whole backstory to the movies. It's funny.
Interesting.
Hector says, at least you don't have to worry about what you're supposed to name your forest in a Windows Server setup. That's true. That is absolutely true.
Oh, boy.
And I make fun of it myself. My home Wi-Fi, my internal secure Wi-Fi is called Sherwood Forest, too. So
that's awesome.
By the way, WISPA, not free for exhibits only pass. I just got off the phone with Gary Helmers, salesman. Yeah, I don't think we said it was free. I think they said it was $30 or something for exhibits only pass.
Yeah, $30.
Yeah, $30.
It's my understanding,
and that's per day. $30 per day.
Yeah, and if we're not going, or if we're not buying the pass, I think that's the only way we're supposed to be able to get in. But I'm reaching out to any of the vendors that support Chris and I that make wireless gear. If you want to give us passes, we're not going to tell you no.
$250 per day? I don't believe that. Are you serious? I mean, he did just talk to the guy. Eric Goodrich is saying.
Well, I mean, they do have a lot of training there, but yeah, I'm trying to scroll up and find that. I'm not finding that comment here, but
it's one of the most recent ones here. I'm going to look at here. Let me look online, because maybe we can find pricing on their webpage.
Let's pull that up real quick. So if you want to get a chance to meet us, Vegas will be the one of the first chances, I think. Have you been recognized in public yet, Chris?
Only at AstraCon, which I would, that's a free PBX conference or an Astros conference, so that's not surprising.
Right.
All right, David Tucker, 10 pounds. Thank you for the super chat. Once Ubiquity has finished playing with Front Row, what would you guys love for them to come out with or develop? That's a really great question.
That is a good question.
What would I like Ubiquity to develop?
How about the rest of the USG firewall rules?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was going to. I mean, it's less about what I'd like them to develop and more about what I'd like them to improve. yeah, I just think they should put a lot more effort into like Unify, like the thing we were talking about earlier with the having multiple WAN IP addresses not yet possible in Unify. Like, how stupid is that? Like, they should. Go ahead.
I know I'm. You're not going to get any disagreement out of me. Another thing that I would like to see, and I don't know how much you deal with this, Chris, but I would like to see them come out with a more capable Layer 3 switch, either in the Edge Max line or the Unify line. Because a lot of times, in enterprise environments, we're not putting a router in to route between VLANs. We're doing it on a Layer 3 switch. So, and when your Layer 3 switch, can only handle 400 MAC addresses, and I mean it starts limiting the size of deployments that I can do with the hardware.
Right. They don't really have any pricing on here, unless you're actually like registering for the event, which I know is very expensive. I was log in to register. Yeah, I'm not going to log in. I think the well, I guess we'll have to talk to them. So where did you hear that it was $30 day of?
I think it's right on the site. I think.
I looked on the. Do you know where on the site? I was just looking. I couldn't find it. If you find it, let me know.
Hold on a second. Maybe this. So I emailed with Trina Coffee is the name of the lady, and let's see, she wrote back. So she wrote me on April 18th. So I originally wrote them on March 17th, and likely because we're not members and they really don't. You and I are probably not of any significance to anybody at WISPA at this point.
No.
I know that Mike Hammett, who I'm friends with on Facebook, there's another channel called the Brothers WISP, and they got press passes, but they've been WISPA members for however long they've owned their WISPs.
Yeah.
So I can see that. But I wrote her on March 17th, and she wrote me back on April 18th, telling me that we need a full description of what you plan to do and put online. Recording in my exhibit is only allowed with prior permission from WISPA. Recording of sessions are not allowed. Please send a detailed listing of what you're planning to do, and we will move forward at that time. There are exhibit hall only passes for purchase on site only, and only for Tuesday or Thursday evening. So I wrote her back, and on April 29th, I said we run YouTube channels, and we want to interview vendors, talk about new equipment, things coming up. Video would be taken with us asking vendors questions, looking at new products. I asked, is this enough detail, or do you need something else? I have not had a response from WISPA since April 29th.
Oh, wow.
So, I hope that they don't treat their members that way, because they are, they're like the NRA for WISPs. They are a lobbying body that lobbies the government and things like that. So when I start my WISP here in the next year or so, I'm going to take, if that's how they treat their members, I'm going to take a real hard, long look at whether I want to give them my money, whether I want them lobbying for me, or if I want to use personal connections, that I've made with politicians to try to do that. So I'm not saying I could do a better job. What I'm saying is if someone wants to attend your event and give you money, and it takes you 2 months or a month to email back, and then nothing since April, I mean that's kind of poor communication. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and I understand that everyone's busy and all that, but like you would think that anyone that is potentially bringing publicity to their event would be a positive thing. I mean, we're not going out there trying to be Jackass or one of those other like prank shows or something. We're going out there because we are interested in putting on display the interesting products that are from their vendors. And I bet you if they polled their vendors, hey, would it be okay if people put your products on YouTube channels that have multi-tens of thousands of viewers, a lot of those people would probably say, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, Chris. So maybe somebody will know. Eric keeps posting the phone number. Eric, I will call them, but I always follow up an email because I like to have written word versus somebody just telling me something over the phone. 50 years ago, somebody's word was as good as gold, but this is 2017. So I like to have my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Somebody asked VMware versus VirtualBox. If you're looking at a bare metal hypervisor, for me, it's ESXi, hands down, every time. Although I am experimenting with Proxmox. And then on Windows or Mac or Linux, I run VirtualBox because it is free. How about you, Chris?
I don't do a lot of virtualization. I have VMware.
You have the Pro Workstation, or is it?
It's the whatever the cheapest one is. I don't remember what it's called exactly, but it's I barely use it. I don't use it for much of anything at all. So look, Tech in the City Honolulu says Exhibit Hall Pass, $30 per day for only Tuesday and Thursday, and only 5:30 to 7 p.m.
Yep. So that's why I tried to reach out to some other people too to see if they could get us some passes so we could wander around there and maybe meet some other folks. So we'll have to see. And I don't know, maybe some of our viewers can reach out to WISPA and see if we can get a response. I wrote her. It's Willie at HoweX5.com. If anybody knows Trina, I know Eric has posted the number, but if you're a WISPA member,
let's not hound them with calls about us, though. I'm not. I don't want to.
Don't do that. If you're calling them for something else, just mention it.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to harass with the WISPA.org.
Chris, I totally forgot that sometimes that happens, and that is not our intent here.
Yeah,
no, not our intent.
No. We just want free stuff, guys. We just want free stuff. We want to get free exhibit passes. No, I'm just kidding. So Roberto is asking about the free NAS as well as TomHarris.net. Thank you guys for remembering that. I do have a number of the... So here's the thing, right? That free NAS is a $2,000 build. Okay, so it's not like it's sponsored or anything like that. It's literally me having to have an extra $2,000 to build that free NAS. So... I make it a rule to never go into debt for my business. Okay, so I have to have the cash on hand to pay for that. I'm getting there. It just takes a while to save up. Just like anything, it's like, when do you have an extra $2,000 lying around to spend on something? And so I would love to buy the free NAS, but it got to a point where we have WISPApalooza coming up. I actually have Astracon and WISPApalooza, both conventions that I'm attending, and they are back to back. It's first week of October and second week of October. So when you're talking about 2 different plane flights, 2 different sets of hotel rooms, plus the exhibit and conference room passes, and all other travel expenses, unfortunately my NAS, because of all that, got pushed off until probably after October. So yeah, I don't. Rather than go into debt and just put it on a credit card or something, and just for the purposes of having it, I don't like to do that. And I would strongly recommend that anyone out there also don't go into debt for things that you want. It's not a good long-term strategy for financial success.
Chris, I applaud you for that, because there are not a lot of people who could. That they're in your situation. I think I shouldn't say that. I think there are very few people that have that mindset. And we're kind of like that. We've got we had to have a car in an emergency, so I got a loan there, and we've got our student loan debt. But we try not to. If we don't have the cash, we don't buy it, even at home.
Yeah.
So it's a practice that we're trying to get into. Sometimes it's difficult, but the last couple of years we've been really, really good at that. So
yeah. Well, and the thing is, once you no longer have any credit card debt or anything like that, like we have. We own 2 cars free and clear. We have 0 credit card debt. The only debt that we have is our mortgage. And man, it is pretty liberating once you get to that stage, because then it's you're not sort of just paying off. You're paying off credit cards. Most of it's going to interest, or a lot of it's going to interest. And if you look at the money that you spend on interest over the course of a lifetime, man, it sucks. It's so much money.
Yeah. Now, where you're at, do you have property tax?
Yes.
So in the way that I kind of looked at it, and I don't know if you look at it this way, even after your mortgage is paid off, you're still going to have property tax. So you've kind of got like this fixed cost of living, that won't ever go away. So really, your home, because of the property taxes, I don't know at what point where you relegate that in your quote unquote debt, but we pay rent every month, so I don't even count that, because that's a fixed cost
right.
of living.
Yeah, well, I've got it. You do mortgage, taxes, and insurance all rolled into one sort of payment, and it's the same thing. It's the same price every month, and that's just an expense that we know about, you know, so it's not too bad.
Right.
Welcome to Financial Hour with Willie and Chris.
So somebody asked, what are the layer 3 limitations on the edge switch? It's got a fixed number of static routes. It doesn't do any, I don't believe it does dynamic routing. And then there's a 400, because of the hardware that's built into it, there's a MAC address limit. I think once you hit 400 MAC addresses when you're routing the switch, I don't know if it'll lock up. I'm not sure what it does, but if you go out and you search on the Ubiquiti community, there are articles out there about it. So I would never sell, unless for a large enterprise, I would never sell the edge switch as a core switch. For a small office, you could do you could definitely do an edge switch as a core switch and do a little bit of routing. And now there's a difference between a router and a firewall. So the switch can do routing, you know, and what does a router do? It gets packets from point A to point B. And a firewall is something totally different. The edge switch cannot do firewalling. It cannot do NAT. It can't do PAT. It can't do any of those things that you need to get out to the internet. So when we say router, we mean moving packets from one network to another.
Fair enough. Someone just asked, I'm setting up a small home network. Sorry, I shouldn't say someone. Seismix asked, I'm setting up a small home network with approximately 20 drops. What router, switch, and wireless access point would you guys recommend? For a home network, I would probably just go with a USG 24-port UniFi switch with PoE and the UAP-AC Pro. That's what I would do. Or you can save a little bit, and if you only have the single PoE device, you can go with the USG. Do they make a UniFi switch non-PoE version?
Yes, they do make the light version.
Okay, so then I would. Well, I know they make a light edge switch. Do they make a light UniFi switch?
Yep.
Okay, so USG UniFi switch 24 light with non-PoE, and then get the single pack UAP-AC Pro, which has the PoE injector. That's probably actually the more cost-effective way to do it, unless you have other PoE devices that you need to power.
Yeah, Havoc, sorry, we're still new at this live stream stuff, so sometimes I read a comment and don't attribute the name to it. Sorry if I've done that. I apologize to anyone I may have offended.
Yes, and Oscar says that the UAP-AC Lite is fine. I actually agree with that as well. Though it depends on, it depends on the size of your house, the construction materials that were used, and the layout and that sort of stuff. You may need one or two of those. Me personally, and I've talked about this before on videos, I had a UAP-AC Lite for my home, and it was the only access point I had in my home for over a year, and it was perfect. It worked just fine. I have since upgraded to a UAP-AC Pro, but it's because I upgraded my switch to 802.3 AF, and that made me do the upgrade of the Pro. All right, JC Gooby, $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated.
Yep. Somebody says the AC light range is bad. It depends on how many devices you're going to have connected, what you're going to be doing, and the composition of the building that it's installed. But then I saw that, and I did it again, but who was that? So it was Mark Prosser, said consider LR. So I think you've heard me talk about the LR. Maybe consider a Pro.
Yeah. It's worth the extra money for the Pro. I agree with that 100%. And I think I discussed that in my access point comparison video. Yep. So if you guys go back and watch that video, you'll see why I don't necessarily recommend the LR as opposed to the Pro, especially when the difference in price is, the Pro is what, $139 and the LR is like $109 or something like that. It's like it's not much more for the Pro.
Yeah, and I have a video that came out just a couple weeks before Chris's on that, but I think we're on the same page, Chris, where we people sometimes get into a near-far type setup. You know, you're blasting out from the AP, and your device can't talk back to it. So
that's how I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to be careful. Make sure you're designing properly. If you've got best practice design questions, reach out to Chris, reach out to me, and we can get you on the right path.
Well, here's a question that I get a lot that's probably a good one to answer, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Willie. Like, as far as access point placement, what are your best practice recommendations? On the wall, on the ceiling, next to a wall? Like where do you prefer in a best practice environment to put the access point?
So this will drive people crazy because I have no standard answer for that. I like to do site surveys first, and I work in some homes where aesthetics are everything, and I can't have an access point exposed. So I'm hiding access points. I'm doing all kinds of things. So it depends. Like in a small office with a drop ceiling, I'm probably going to pop it in the drop ceiling, and depending on how many clients there are, how big it is, there may be one per room. And actually now I would actually look at the In-Wall Pro for that same layout. But most of the time I'm probably, if I'm using a Pro, going to go probably drop ceiling mount most of the time. But it all depends. And I could give you a better answer if I had a floor plan and we'd actually done a walkthrough and a site survey. So it really does change for every deployment.
Yeah, and I would say that you're absolutely right. And the other thing, personally, I try to look at an access point as a light bulb and imagine that the Wi-Fi coming off of it is light, right? So if you've got it in the corner, you're going to be hitting the wall and reflecting off the wall and bouncing Wi-Fi signals around. If you get it more in the center of a room, it's going to have a much clearer path, right? So you're going to have a lot less, the light, so to speak, will spread further and more evenly, right? So that's kind of how I like to think of it. But also on top of that, utilize the map function of Unify once you get your access points in or near where you'd like them to be. And then also make sure you always fine-tune the output power and the channel that your access points are on. Okay, because that is key in a successful wireless deployment, hands down.
Do not let the software do auto anything. Go in there, overwrite it after you've looked at your map. And if you're on the beta version, the 5.6 beta that's available, I don't know if you've seen the map builder now, Chris, but they actually have predictive modeling.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, you can go in there and say, this is the composition of the wall, this is how thick it is, and it will show you how your currently deployed access point should be permeating through the environment.
Yeah. All right, Andrew Knows Tech, $2 super chat. Would you place an access point in an attic with plaster walls? And by the way, this is our last super chat, guys. We've got to get going. Both of us have appointments. So we've got about a 5-minute warning here. We got to hit the road.
Andrew, can you specify, are you saying that you're going to put it in the attic so it's hidden and then you're going to broadcast to the floor below it?
I think that's what he means, yeah.
Yeah, and you can try it.
That's exactly what I would say too. I mean, everything is going to be dependent on a very specific environment. It's very difficult for, it's like asking your dentist what's wrong with my teeth, right? He has to look in your mouth.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so, like, you gotta. It's every situation is going to be different. So a lot of it is trial and error. And one thing that I recommend to a lot of my clients, especially if I'm working with them remotely and I don't have the ability to go out and do a site survey, is I tell them, get a very long Cat5 cable or Cat 6 or Cat 5 Ethernet cable, plug in your access point and put it in different locations and try it on for size. Put it, temporarily mount it on the ceiling for a week, and then move it over to the wall for a week, and then put it in a different room for a week, and just see where you have the best wireless experience. And then once you kind of figure that out, you can always permanently mount it at that point.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. There's also a channel analyzer built into the AirMax devices that you can use. I think it's called AirView. Mm-hmm. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
It is. It's also based on Java, and it takes a Herculean effort to actually run it. But go ahead.
It is Java-based, but if you're looking at a low-cost frequency analyzer, that's perfect. Get a $40 AirMax device, hook it up, open AirView, and you can see what's going on around you. So, because there's other things besides how well is just your access point performing, you've got to look at everything else that's in the air to see if you're causing interference. Nothing is quite as mind-boggling or perhaps even infuriating as when you're playing online poker wirelessly on your laptop, and you open it up and you see 8 SSIDs that all saying Linksys, and they're all on channel 6, and you had manually configured a week ago your access point to be on channel 6 because nobody was on it.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot to Wi-Fi design. It's not. I can guarantee you, Chris doesn't do this. I don't do this. You just don't throw hardware out there. You just don't blanket something with hardware because the hardware is inexpensive. You're not going to get a good result doing that. So you got to do a little bit of homework to get a good result.
So JC Gooby, I want to get to this quickly before we got to go. He had given us a super chat but didn't ask a question. He asked a question a few comments down. His question was, how do I block a range of IPs on the Edge Router Pro? I've been getting attacked 2 to 3 times a week from Russia. So I would actually, I think, Willie, you have old videos, right? It might have even been before you were talking and showing your face in videos on like how to block IPs with firewall rules and Edge Router and stuff, right? I would probably recommend go look at those, and then you can find full listings of like Russian IP address ranges online, and then you should be able to block them out with firewall rules. Yeah,
just create a WAN in rule that blocks those as the source nets. Also, talk to your upstream provider if things are getting out of hand and see if they can help you out.
There you go. All right, so I hope that helps. We're going to wrap it up here, guys. Listen, I hope everyone has a wonderful Eclipse weekend. Yes. I like the Eclipse because it's unifying. You know what I mean? It brings everyone together, not just in the U.S. but worldwide. You know, it helps us not focus on our differences, and everyone is sort of entranced by this celestial, like, crazy event that's happening. I think it's a wonderful thing. So I hope you guys all have a great Eclipse weekend. Yeah, unifying. Funny. Ha ha ha. Sick burn. No. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for joining the live stream. If you are going to be at Wispapalooza, make sure you let Willie or myself know. We'd love to meet you guys out there and say hi. I will be there Wednesday, Thursday, and part of Friday. Willie will be there Thursday, Friday, and part of Saturday, but I think Saturday you're kind of spending with family, right? So. Yeah. Regardless, though, most likely Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, Willie and I will be getting together and actually meeting in person for the first time. And I'll be buying him a drink, and he'll be buying me a drink, and then we will try to not lose money gambling or something. I don't know.
Right.
But okay, cool. And if you guys are going to be out there, make sure you let us know. And other than that, I hope you guys all have a great weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll see you next time.